So Up with People's been around since 1968, and it's a singing and dancing show of students from 18 to 25 years of age.
Hi, Polly.
Oh,
it's your
it's
daughter.
Polly. Daughter-in-law.
Daughter-in-law. Hi, Polly.
Hi, Polly.
And we travel the globe and put on a 2-hour show, and it's non-denominational, but it just brings communication and understanding among different races and cultures. We had 25 different countries represented in our cast. We did the halftime of the Super Bowl in 1981, and Jody and I had the opportunity to perform in SeaWorld for a summer. So we did shows in SeaWorld all summer long for the different tours. So that's
Hi,
Up
Barb.
with People.
Hi, Barb. My friend Barb from Victoria's on. Hi,
Barb.
This is a global
It
show.
is a global show. And you know what? That's what I like about Up with People, though, because, I mean, now in particular, it's just so important because the more you learn about a culture, it's harder to hate someone if you know what it's all about, you know?
Absolutely.
And so I loved Up with People, one of my favorite things. So, and how long were you in there? Did you start
1
at
year.
the same time?
It's a 1 year tour.
Oh, it's a one-year tour.
tour.
You go on it for 1 year. Okay.
Yes.
And then we came back and did staff for a summer in Orlando, Florida,
Oh,
where that's a SeaWorld situation.
Okay, so you were in SeaWorld together. That was not with Up with
It was Up with People.
It was Up with People.
Hired back on staff, just 30 of us to do 5 shows a day at SeaWorld. You know, when you go to Disneyland or SeaWorld, they have different
5
performing
shows a day.
opportunities.
Wow,
And
okay.
so, yeah,
We were combined with the Lumberjack show. So the Lumberjack would go and they'd climb the poles, and our band would be on the stage, and they'd move the stage back, and they would do log rolling in the water.
Right.
Fall in the water. And then when our show was on, they'd move the stage back up, and our band would perform. So we shared the same stage as the Lumberjacks. So when they were performing, then we were performing, and we all did about 5 shows a day.
That is pretty cool. And so you traveled for a year together,
Yes.
on a global basis. Then you were in Florida for a year.
Yes.
Now, when did you decide that, hey, I kind of think Jody's pretty cute?
Well, the ironic, I'm from Indiana, and Jody's from Tacoma, Washington. And
Okay.
there's 500 kids back then. Up with People had 4 casts. So 500 kids go to Tucson, Arizona to do staging for 6 weeks.
Okay.
She was the first person I met getting off the airplane. And it's like, you know, how weird is that?
Yeah.
500
Very
people.
first, 500 people, first person. I'm getting goosebumps.
Where is this going to go?
And then
Yeah, really.
me and another buddy, we became real good friends with Jody. And didn't you say something at one point that you were going to marry either me or the other guy?
Yeah, I said because they hadn't divided us up into our individual groups of
Right.
who we travel with yet, based on talent and dancing and singing and all of that. So the 3 of us were good friends, and I said, I bet I'm just going to marry one of those 2 guys. These 2 guys, these are good eggs. I'm going to
These
marry
are
one of
good
these
eggs.
guys.
And how
Yeah,
old
yeah.
were you when
20.
20. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you
20,
do this when
21.
you're 20 and 20. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's what we
Wow,
did,
that's so good. You know right away. You knew right away one of them was going to be
Is it?
lucky.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. No, he's
nice.
good. Jim dated about everybody in our group first, though, and then he decided, right?
No,
Yeah.
no, but the women are beautiful, and so it was pretty special. But
Okay, how many people did you date?
Jim.
4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay.
But I fell in love.
Blonde
we,
ones.
we,
Okay.
we went home. We went home after Christmas.
Don't know.
And I was kind of dating another gal, and Jody left early to go perform in another cast up in the Seattle area. So when we got back from Christmas, that's when I pretty much fell in love with Jody. Our first kiss, though, this is funny, was in
Okay, tell us when your first kiss was. Let's talk.
Lemon, South Dakota.
When was it?
Lemon, South Dakota.
When we were
Lemon.
Lemon.
when we
I
were
mean, nobody's
traveling.
been to Lemon. In
No,
fact,
I have
the
not.
water was so bad you weren't allowed to drink it out of the faucet. And we ended up kissing. We had just done a show at a high school, and we ended up kissing in a classroom after the show, just Jody and I. I mean, it was like fireworks, the whole bit. But that was a big deal.
That was it.
Because you didn't date with people. Dating was you'd hang out and you'd ride the bus together.
Okay,
And you would,
that was dating.
because
Okay.
you were always with the
Sweet
cast.
kiss in Lemon. I know. Thank you, Barb. Who's that?
What's she saying? Funny.
Sweet kiss. Give us some hearts for that. Tap on your screen if you want to give us some hearts. That's good.
So we traveled the year. We went over to Europe for a year. I mean, for 6 months. And so we traveled and saw the world, which was great. Did
Right.
shows every 2 or 3 days. We performed with the Denver Symphony. We were halftime of the Super Bowl. So then the year was over, and I went back to Indiana, and Jody went back to. I went back to school in Indiana, and Jody went back to school in Washington State, and so we had a long distance romance for 2 years. So we didn't have cell phones back then, kids, and so we would either have to call once a week on a payphone, which our parents would pay for, or I wrote letters every day. Jody wrote me like once every month.
Oh, that is
He wrote
so
me letters
romantic.
every day.
And you've still got them, right?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
And Jody wrote one letter a month.
Whether I needed to or not.
No, she would write occasionally, but I did write.
Well, she had that broken arm. Come on.
Yeah, for 2 years. So
For 2 years.
but I did. I wrote every year, every
He
day.
did. He
and
did.
so
Wow.
that's how we communicate. I mean, I
I
can't
know,
even comprehend
now.
what it's like now,
I know,
texting
just
and all that.
text. It's so different now, to just. I mean, you had to write every day and then wait for her to get that
Yes.
letter and then hope she was going to respond sometime that month.
Yes. And the mailman would come. I lived in a sorority, so he would come and I'd
okay.
see him every day, and he'd bring a letter and he'd put it in my little box and he'd say, "You have another one." Or
Oh,
Jim would
that's so
call and
sweet.
they'd announce my name over the intercom. Jody Goodman, long distance, line 2, and all the girls would scream. And
It's like,
it's
it's
Jim.
you.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
so funny.
did you date any other guys?
In Up With People, I did not.
No,
I did not.
Okay,
No,
that was
I
it.
held
He
true.
was the one.
Yeah, it wasn't even true to be old. We were just kind of, we just. It wasn't. We
there
were.
you go.
You were just
What do you say about that?
What do you say? Nothing, please.
Okay, and so all right, so now you 2 years, you long distance relationship, no text. You actually write written letters.
Yes.
And
So when we die someday, our kids would either go, "Oh, what's this crap?" and they'll just throw it away.
No.
Or hopefully our
could
daughter-in-laws will say, "Oh, here's some
Let's
love
read
letters from."
these.
I know.
You know-
Maybe they'll write. Maybe they'll bound them and put them in a book or something. And yes, wouldn't that be?
They will
that,
be worth being bound, Polly.
Yeah, because nobody else
Yes.
does that anymore.
I know.
It's so sweet.
I know, he was really sweet.
So then what happened?
Well, then I graduated from college and I rented a U-Haul and I moved out to Tacoma, Washington.
Okay, you said I'm
Just
moving
drove
out there.
Yeah,
Okay.
he and his mom drove out and moved him out with.
And so you were still in university then? Okay, so you
Yes,
still had
I had
another
1
year.
year
You were,
left.
yeah, you were in senior. Okay,
Yeah.
and then you got a job in Tacoma?
Yes, I was involved with healthcare and got a job, and Jody became a general hygienist and bought a house and just continued to evolve. And I know this is jumping, but today we have 2 sons that are grown and we have a granddaughter. But I think the beauty about this is we were friends first
Right.
because
Because you were dating those 4
in
other
Up With
girls.
People.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but because we were friends first, and Up With People was such that it was a different type of dating.
Yeah.
You couldn't just knock on the door and Jody would come to the door ready for the date. I mean, we were together 16 hours a day, performing,
Best and the
traveling,
worst of
Right.
each other.
traveling the world. And so you had to live the highs and lows. One of the
Right,
cast
okay.
members, her brother died during that
Oh,
year.
okay.
People had issues. So you're really living with 125 people
Right.
and through all the different cultures and religions and
And they're
feelings.
homesick. They
Oh,
would be
yes.
homesick.
Well, there's
Oh,
18-year-olds to
yes.
25-year-olds.
Yeah, I mean,
the
they'd be-
18-year-olds
Yeah, you're right.
are still growing and still
Yeah.
learning how to be adults. The 25-year-olds are rolling their eyes going, come on, get it together. You
Right.
know?
Very different. Very
So,
different.
so because of that,
on
we
there.
got to experience each other on that friendship, and I think that's been the basis of our relationship the rest of our lives is we were friends first,
Yeah.
and then we became married, and it's created that strong bond and that marriage that we cherish today. I mean,
Yeah.
we enjoy
We
each
have
other's
fun
company.
together. We
Yeah,
do
you're
everything
still
together.
each other's friends. Okay,
Yes,
so
yes,
but
yes.
okay, now you skipped the big part. Like, how did you do the proposal?
Oh, that's good. So,
That's good.
so the proposal was,
It's not quite as romantic as the rest is.
so I asked Jody to marry, we had 2 options. One is to either ask Jody to marry me, if she'd be my wife, or go see Rambo, the movie. And so we did both. So
It was opening night for Rambo.
Rambo. Okay.
that's the Sylvester Stallone kids.
Yeah.
And so I asked her in her bedroom, I believe,
Uh-huh.
if she'd marry me. And of course she said yes.
And she's
then-
in her dorm, right? Her
No,
dorm.
she's
No,
at
this
home.
is at
Oh,
home
now,
now.
now you're at home. Okay.
She's at
okay.
upward in Tacoma, Washington. I
Okay,
moved
yeah,
out there,
okay.
and then she, we went with her family. We went and saw Rambo. So it was quite a
So
night.
did you ask her dad first?
Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. Because that's kind of like nobody does that anymore, right? But it's a nice tradition.
Yes, it's a Midwest boy.
So did your children, like when your daughter, is she married?
We have 2 sons, and our son asked, and
Oh,
our
and
son
he asked. Okay, your
her
son's
dad.
asked. Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice. Okay.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah, and
That's
Jody
nice.
was able to use her grandmother's diamond
Yeah.
Okay.
as the ring, which was wonderful to keep that in the family.
Yeah.
So that was great. But that's that's it wasn't real romantic, but Rambo was really good.
Rambo. So it was kind of
First
wow,
blood.
like Rambo
First blood.
and getting engaged. Like,
That's
what
right.
could be better?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Evidently.
Evidently, it was
Yeah.
just like wow, 2 celebrations.
I know.
Okay, well, who's out there? Is anybody out there? Do you have any questions? Polly, do you have any questions for your for your in-laws? No, she's not. They're very silent. She's very quiet. They're very quiet.
We see them
followers.
tomorrow.
You see them tomorrow.
Yes,
okay,
we
so
see
they're
them
going to ask
tomorrow
you
in
tomorrow.
Dallas.
All right.
Yes,
So
they'll
now
be
you've
loaded
been
with
married
questions
31 years, 2 sons. Okay. So and your advice, if you had advice to give people, is friends first. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. In communication,
Communication.
we have a ball, and we enjoy each other's company. This was kind of interesting. I lived in San Antonio for just a year ago. That was where my job took me, and I had 2 men during that time when I told them I was living in San Antonio. They looked at me and goes, "Oh, I wish I could do that," to basically get away from their wives. And I just thought, you said that out loud? You know, why would you say that? You know, it's really sad to think that's their first thought is, gosh, I wish I could do that.
I wish I could get out of the house. Yeah, that's sad.
And it's not that, no, it's not fun
Yeah.
if you have a good marriage.
Yeah.
So,
Who says that? Who's joined us? Jody only looks 31. I know. What is your secret, Jody?
Who is that?
I don't know, but we love them.
which means we look a lot older,
Mark.
Jane.
I know. That's my friend
you.
Barb.
Oh,
Do you have any
sweet Barb's
secrets?
my new
Yeah.
best friend.
Barb is your
She's my new best friend, too.
Barb, yes, I know. It's recognized as
hi, Barb.
Yeah.
Hi, Barb. You're sweet.
So well, thank you very much for sharing it. Do you have anything else you want to tell people? Like, I mean, I don't know. You guys took your time.
Yes.
Yeah,
long
2
distance, and
years.
then another year, 3
2
years.
years.
So we were 23 and 24
So I
when
think
we
it's
got
important
married.
once you're on the road, it's not, when you're on people, it's not real. I mean, it's real, but you're in a cocoon.
Right.
Even though you're learning about
Yeah.
Scandinavia and Europe, but you're still, it's
Yeah.
a security blanket.
Yeah, and it's not a real situation.
Right.
It's not real life.
So we took our
Right,
time
right.
and I went back to school because education's important. And then Jody, and I love that you're doing this, Jane, because you hear all the negatives
Yeah,
we talked about
all the
earlier.
time, yeah.
And
That's
about
why
how
we're doing this.
couples are struggling and marriage is so difficult and it's so much work. And I think it's work in the sense that if you have a good marriage, it's fun work.
Yeah.
And you're growing and it's not Jody did
but it's
this,
work,
or it's just unconditional. And that makes it real simple. And we make it so hard, and we don't try. And, we don't ever say no. I've traveled for 31 years on the road.
Right.
And if Jody didn't have trust
Yeah.
that when I got on the road that I wasn't loyal and faithful,
Yeah.
we'd be divorced a long
Yeah.
time ago. I
Oh,
mean,
you just don't
so you
even
either
go there.
sacrifice
Yeah.
that one time of losing your mind,
Yeah.
or you realize what's most important, and that is that marriage and that
Yeah.
bond and that commitment. And so it's worked. I think it's going to last.
I think it's going to last after
I
31.
think
What
so,
the
too.
heck? Think of all the training, Jody.
Exhausting. Exhausting.
Yeah, I've been beaten.
Really, that
Well, you have to speak life into each other, too.
I know.
You have to
absolutely.
encourage each other all the time.